Hi guys, welcome to Maybe News. Today I've made you a video with a list of 10 animals driven to extinction. Let's get started. 10. The tarpan. Also known as Eurasian wild horse, was a subspecies of a wild horse. The tarpan ranged from southern France and Spain eastwards to central Russia. Cave drawing of tarpan horses can be found in France and Spain, and artifacts showing this breed can be found in southern Russia, where this horse was domesticated by Scythian nomads in about 3000 years before Christ. The original white tarpan died out during the late 800s. And why did this happen? When their natural forest and steppe habitat was destroyed to make room for more people, they came into conflict with farmers who did not want the wild tarpans to eating their crops or stealing their tame mares. The farmers in Eastern Europe treated the tarpan in much the same manner as mustangs and wild boars are treated in the United States today. But there was someone who tried to save the species. The Polish government created a preserve for animals descended from the wild tarpan and a forest in Białowieża. Over the years, this herd has developed more and more tarpan characteristics, and today this breed is sometimes referred to as the Polish primitive horse. 9. Steller sea cow. Steller sea cows were extraordinary creatures. Their closest living relatives are the dugong and manatees, known collectively as the Sirenians. But while all four surviving species of the Sirenian live in warm tropical waters, Steller's cow had become highly specialized in the subarctic waters of the northern Pacific Ocean. But by 1768, less than 3 decades after they were first described, the Steller sea cow went extinct. Almost everything we know about the animal's behavior and ecology stems from Steller's brief observations of them, more than frequently than not as were they being slaughtered and dragged up the beaches to be butchered. The speed at which the mammals were driven to extinction suggests that despite the fur trades may have thought at the time, the sea cows were probably never that numerous to begin with. 8. Moa. For millions of years, 9 species of flightless birds known as moas thrived in New Zealand. Then about 600 years ago, they abruptly went extinct. Their die-off coincided with the arrival of the first humans on the islands in the late 13th century, and the scientists have long wondered what role hunting by Homo sapiens played in the moa's decline. Did we alone drive the giant birds over the brink, or were they already on their way out thanks to the diseases and volcanic eruptions? Now, a new genetic study of moa fossils points to humankind as the sole perpetrator of the bird's extinction. The study adds to an ongoing debate whether the past people lived and hunted animals in a sustainable manner, or were largely to blame for the extermination of numerous species. 7. Quagga. Never heard of the quagga? You're not alone. The animal is a relative of the zebra and went extinct over 100 years ago. Like zebras, the quagga has stripes, though these only appear on the front half of their bodies. But unlike the zebra, they are brown along the rear half of their body. These animals used to roam South Africa in vast herds. But the European settlers fixed the beasts in their sights, killing them at an alarming rate. By the 1880s, the last known example had died. 6. Iberian ibex. A distant relative of a common goat, the Iberian ibex is a type of a wild goat found in the plains and the Rocky Mountains of Spain and Portugal. Although there are still many in the wild, numbers have decreased sharply in some areas and conservation efforts are underway to preserve the future of certain subspecies. So, the Pyrenean ibex became unextinct for a brief moment in 2003. Scientists were able to extract DNA from the last female Pyrenean ibex to die and succeeded in creating a clone which was born on July 2000. However, the young ibex only lived a few minutes and died of a lung failure. No other attempts have since been successful. 5. Baiji. The baiji, or Chinese river dolphin, is the first dolphin to be declared extinct in modern times. Its extinction is the first of a large mammal species for over 50 years and is directly attributable to mankind. The baiji was probably driven to extinction by harmful fishing practices that were not even devised to harm the dolphins, such as the use of gill nets, rolling hooks, or electrical stunning. 4. Javan tiger. The Javan tiger is a subspecies of a tiger that live uniquely on the islets of Java in Indonesia. It became extinct at the beginning of the 1980s mainly due to deforestation, hunting, and the loss of its prey. At the beginning of the 20th century, as the human population on Java increased, so did related human activity and the agricultural land use. Hunted and killed by local populations, the Javayan tiger also suffered the destruction of its natural habitat through the expansion of rice fields, text forests, and coffee. These crops invaded the Indonesian island and replaced natural spaces, forcing all fauna to survive in ever-shrinking areas poor in biodiversity. In the absence of its natural habitat and a viable prey, the subspecies disappeared. 3. Tasmanian tiger. The extinction of Tasmanian tigers is only the last chapter of an old story that's thousands of years of its telling. In recent history, Tasmanian tigers were restricted to the island of Tasmania, but they once lived in the Australian mainland. Scientists believe that Tasmanian tigers were hunted and killed by humans and dingoes, which led to the Tasmanian tigers' demise in those areas. Tasmania had few people and no dingoes, though, so it became a last refuge to the Tasmanian tiger and its close cousin, the Tasmanian devil. The settlement of Tasmania by white settlers marked the beginning of the end for the Tasmanian tigers. They brought large quantities of livestock with them and assumed that Tasmanian tigers would be just as fearsome livestock killers as the Western wolves and coyotes, which they were familiar with. Tasmanian tigers certainly did kill some livestock, but most people believe now that the numbers were greatly exaggerated. Also, in Australia, the settlers brought dogs with them. It's likely the dogs contributed to the Tasmanian tiger's decline through the direct competition by introducing new diseases. There were reports that a distemper-like disease was killing many Tasmanian tigers right before the wild population winked out of existence. 2. Passenger pigeon. The extinction of the passenger pigeon is an example of what happens when the interests of man clash with the interests of nature. It is believed that this species once constituted 25 to 30% of the total bird population of the United States. It is estimated that there were 3 billion to 5 billion passenger pigeons at the time Europeans discovered America. Because the passenger pigeon congregated in such huge numbers, it needed large forests for its existence. When the early settlers cleared the eastern forests for farmland, the birds were forced to shift their nesting and rooting sites to the forests that still remained. As their forest food supply decreased, the birds began utilizing the grain fields of the farmers. The large flocks of passenger pigeons often caused serious damage to the crops, and the farmers retaliated by shooting the birds and using them as a source of meat. By the early 1890s, the passenger pigeon had almost completely disappeared. It was now too late to protect them by passing laws. 1. Dodo. The dodo was a flightless bird that lived on the island of Mauritius. The origin of the name dodo is debatable. Some believe it came from the Dutch dodars, which means stumpy tail, while others claim it is derived from Portuguese doiro, which means like a fool. Dodos were endemic and exclusive to the island of Mauritius. Based on the habitat and ecosystem of the islands, their bodies were perfectly adapted to survive there. Their diet was linked to the tambalacock tree, which in the local lexicon is called the dodo tree. Biologists believe the dodos fed on the tambalacock tree as well as on nuts, fruits, roots, and small insects. First, before the arrival of humans on Mauritius, an island where the dodos had lived and evolved for centuries, the species had no natural predators. Due to their inability to adapt to the imminent threats and tactfully escape, they became an easy target for the explorers. Unbaited hunting by sailors and explorers were the main reason why the dodos went extinct. That's all for today. Thanks guys for watching and see you in the next episode.